All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Bottom Line Podcast, where we say what we mean and we mean what we say. Because at the core of everything that is, was, and forever will be, there will always be the bottom line. Today's guest is Mr. Fred Cadet, aka Mr. Financially Fred. He is an entrepreneur, financial consultant, and a philanthropist. He's a financial consultant, and I want to kind of like clarify what that means, because a lot of people will go with the brand financial consultant, and it's very broad. Freddie here focuses specifically on an area that I think is key, that I think we're not exploring enough and we're not talking about enough, especially in the inner city communities, and that's bridging that wealth gap, right? How we can bridge that wealth gap. So Fred here, Fred Cadet, does credit repair, right? And he's only 27 years old, and this guy's got a wealth of knowledge, right? And what impressed me specifically about Fred is the fact that he's willing to share all that knowledge for free on social media, right? So I said, Fred, let me give you a call. I said, let me give this guy a call. Let's see if I can get him on as a guest so he can take us to school here today on credit repair. So Fred, man, how you doing? Thanks for taking the time to be a guest.
All is well, man. Thank you for having me, man. I'm honored. I'm feeling blessed and just humbled by this opportunity, man, to just provide on your platform and just give free knowledge and free game to the people.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. Just bridging the wealth gap and just bringing all the information to our people so we can definitely thrive and have the tools necessary to make that next step and to dive into entrepreneurship and just breaking generational curses. And that's what we're all about here. I'm glad we link up. We have both similar mindsets and similar agendas, and just for us to come together, man, it's great, man.
Yeah. I'm excited because it's I'm hearing, and I gotta be honest with you. Since BLM started, and since the death of George Floyd, and the rioting and the looting and all the social unrest and the civil unrest and the racial tension, you hear a lot. What I hear a lot, I don't know if you're hearing this too. I don't know if you follow like the news. A lot of people don't watch the news. I personally don't like to watch the news, but it is impacting, income, right? So another reason that I wanted to really talk to you today is because there is, a misconception of the current narrative saying that, your generation specifically, right, is out there right now, uninformed, have no actual goals for the future, and doesn't have a clear-cut direction and a pathway forward. And so and I'm thinking, when I was your age, I had an idea of what I wanted to do, right? I'm 37, so I've got you by about 10 years, right? Yeah, but I had a direction of what I wanted to do, but I can't say that I was as clear on my vision as you are today. I can't say that I was as clear on my vision as I see that you are today. So how were you affected? How were you impacted? One, by COVID, and two, by the racial divide right now. How were you impacted by that?
Okay. First, to answer your first question, I was impacted by COVID both positively and negatively.
Okay.
So negatively because before COVID happened, I was part of a group. We used to host financial literacy events every single Thursday, right? And we have done it consistently and just giving out free information to the people, just giving them gems about credit and finances, how they can budget, how they can save their money, various things that we talk about, and just informing the people.
Right.
So when COVID happened, we couldn't, it just shut everything down in that regard. And as far as doing face-to-face meetings and just doing outreach and reaching out to the people physically,
right,
couldn't do that anymore. So it kind of stopped my business in that sense.
Right.
And then it positively affected me because as far as saving, I saved a whole lot of money.
Right.
This is the most money I've seen in my bank account and just investing wise. So,
wow.
It was definitely a great, great transition that I made and a great adjustment. And I just adjusted and, strictly did a lot of promotion through social media. So I said, hey, if I can't reach these people, face to face, I'm gonna just have to put on my content through social media. And that's when I transitioned and started the free game Financially Fred. And I just put out a clip every week, once a week.
Yeah, I just want to interrupt you real quick because this is what got me to call you was the hashtag free game, right?
Right.
You just say you let it flow off your tongue like it's nothing, but there's a lot of people out there who don't understand what that is. Because I'm from the generation where, you know, the game is to be sold, not told,
Right.
right? And so when I say that, I mean this was before the hashtag movement, right? We weren't hashtagging. There was no social media. There wasn't any of that, right? So it's like the game is to be sold, not told, right? So to see someone put out a hashtag that says free game, and he's seriously sitting down, not baiting. This is what's so admirable about what you're doing. You're not baiting. You're not salesy in any way. Your approach is very give. You're not looking to receive. You're giving, right? So I want to go back just a little bit, right? Because and I want to, just make it clear that, at your age, for you to have this amount of knowledge about what you're doing as far as like bridging that wealth gap, educating people about credit repair, right? So you're not able to do your weekly seminars or your meetings anymore, but then you also have, the social unrest, right? Now you're in Brooklyn, right? So you're in the heart of all of it. What made you continue to stay motivated so that you can still bring the education of the hashtag free game to the people? What made you realize that was still really important?
Because I realized that I have a large audience on social media.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, as entrepreneurs, every time we come across some type of adversity, we gotta adjust, right?
Right.
So any brick wall that's in front of us, we gotta maneuver around it and make those adjustments. So that's how I thought.
Right.
I was just like, nothing is really gonna stop me from my main agenda, which is to help people and to give people that value.
Right.
So I was like, okay. And then I've seen, a lot of my mentors make that pivot and make that adjustment. So I said, I got to do the same thing as well.
Okay. So I like what you just mentioned also. You mentioned two key words, mentor and pivot, right? So mentorship sounds like it's had a huge impact on you, right? And following your content, I can tell that you're surrounded by, good mentors, like-minded individuals, right? And you're soaking in game, right? So tell me what your business would be like without the mentorship. Yeah.
my
Yeah.
business would be all over the place. I won't have any clear direction.
Yeah.
And I will make a lot more mistakes than I would have made with that mentorship. And with the people, who's done it, whose level I'm trying to get to, is telling me like, hey, this is gonna happen. This is how you adjust. This is how you pivot. Whatever you do, just don't quit.
Right. Let's go into the pivot. Yeah.
Right.
Let's go into the pivot. When you say this is how you have to adjust, this is how you have to pivot. What are some ways you've had to pivot since the pandemic struck?
Okay, since the pandemic struck, I had to post a lot more content on social media, Instagram, Facebook, right? And also what I was doing a lot of what we call tap rooting, right? Okay. So what I would do, I would have a lot of people post on their page for me and tag me in their post.
Okay.
So now what I'm doing, I'm reaching out to their audience as well.
Oh, nice.
Now a lot more people are gravitating to my content, and now a lot more people know what I do.
Okay. Yeah.
I may not necessarily, get them as a client or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But the main thing is, you know where to go to, or you know who to contact if you need that kind of help, or may know somebody who's looking for that, and then you're gonna send them my way.
Right.
Due to the content I'm putting on my page and just the free game I'm giving to people.
Right. Right. Okay. So how long have you been doing that though before you got a response? Because you're pretty consistent. And I'm asking that because you have a few things on your plate, right? You're also in school. You recently just graduated, right?
Right.
Yeah. So talk to me about that. Like, how did you balance the two, going to school and pushing content super hard, still being able to provide, knowledge, education about credit repair? Like, why not just do one versus the other? How do you continue to do both? Was it the response? Did you get a good response?
Nah, absolutely. That's what kept me motivated. because sometimes, you know, a lot of times as entrepreneurs, there's times where we get discouraged, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, it's sometimes business kind of slow and kind of get discouraged. But sometimes I'm out in the street and somebody may just message me like, hey, man, you know, I'm just so inspired by your content and I'm really proud of what you're doing. When I hear stuff like that, it definitely keeps me going.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
reaching out to somebody, because for somebody to message that to me or send that to me, imagine how many people think the same way that person did, but then it's saying anything.
Right.
And it's just continuously watching. So that's how I gauged it. And I was just like, all right,
Right. Yeah.
I'm doing the right thing. And as far as like balance and everything, fortunately for me, that around that time when COVID happened, all of my classes were online.
Okay.
Well, it was a lot more simpler for me, because
Yeah.
I would just I would just organize my time a certain way. So I'll spend, you know, like 2 hours of my day just knocking out the schoolwork and the assignments that I had to complete, and then the rest of my day will be devoted towards building my business.
Okay, so let's get down to it, right? When you say the rest of your day, how much time, like how many hours a day are you putting into, content creation, putting together when I say content creation, I don't mean just the videos, but the actual subject matter of the videos. Like how many, and then plus you have to entertain, you have to at least call people, convert your
Right.
leads and actually do business. So how much of your time does that take?
All right. So I'll spend at least 2 to 3 hours, maybe just doing calls and following up, and you know, doing consultations and stuff like that. Because usually what I do, I'll schedule times where I'll call people, or usually when somebody gets on the phone with me, that time is scheduled.
Yeah.
Because as entrepreneurs, we're busy, so we have to fit
Yeah.
those times.
You and me both. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll speak to about 20 people a day, somewhere around there, and then afterwards I would spend about an hour, maybe probably a little less than that, on just thinking about what I'm gonna provide to the people,
Mm-hmm.
or something that I may have seen in regards to credit. I'm just like, oh, okay, I should talk about that, and then just structure it out. And
Yeah.
then I would do like um, I would invite certain people into like a power credit webinar that we do, and a couple guys that I know host. So I would, get people onto that,
Yeah.
and then some of my time will go towards personal development, because sometimes we could pour into people all day, but we also got to pour into ourselves.
Right.
Part
Right.
of self development, and I'm very much big on that. And
Yeah.
that got me through, and it's still getting me through. I'm
Yeah.
still a student, I'm still learning, and I'm still growing every day. So,
Yeah.
at least an hour of my time has to be devoted to that. Whether it's, reading a book, or
Yeah.
meditation, or exercise and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So usually I would also just get in an audio book and just listen to Jim Rohn, or maybe Grant Cardone, or Jay Morrison, or somebody like that.
Yeah. You got some good names there, man. You got some good names. Jim Rohn is one of the pioneers, matter of fact.
Yeah,
Right? He's one of the pioneers. I went through
that
all
guy
his.
is dope.
Yeah. And you know what's
We
good
just,
about Jim Rohn? Jim Rohn is he was Tony Robbins' mentor, right?
right,
And the other thing about Jim Rohn is like his style of teaching is you don't really get that today, right?
right.
You don't get that. It's so
And
practical.
it's very practical, and he really shifts your mindset, and he really like breaks it down to a point where, wow, okay, this is how I gotta think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we always hear the typical motivation, go
Right.
hard,
Right.
whatever you do, give it your all, don't quit.
Right.
That's pretty cliche, right?
Right. Right. Right.
And the way Jim Rohn really breaks it down is like, okay, you got to think this way. If your mindset was different, then you'll have more money, and this is how you do it. This is how you structure it. He
Right.
gives you the how.
Yep. There it is. That's right. Yeah. I love Jim Rohn. I was going through my divorce when I discovered him. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was really going through it. Like I was literally going through it, and then you just put on some motivational stuff. I think back then I was listening to more Les Brown, and I was listening to
Right.
more TD Jakes, and
Yeah, those are great names too.
yeah, right. And then it's like a little bit of spirituality, a little bit of mental health, right? So for you're a young guy, you're absorbing all of that. I gotta, I'm curious, right? Because you're not going to school for business. You're not going to school for like your business administration or MS or anything like that, right? You got a master's in nutrition, I'm guessing, right? I think it says
Public health.
public health. Okay, so you have a BS in nutrition, right?
Right.
And then you have a
But that,
master's. Say it again.
yeah, I had a BS in nutrition, but my concentration was public health.
Okay, now with the public health, right? So you're taking care of yourself, but then you're also, you're building a business. The two are two separate worlds, right?
Right.
So now I'm still a little confused. All right, so you're at least in the beginning phase. While you're in school, that's one hustle. That's one, you got your hand in one pot. Then you've got the business, right? And maybe you're making the calls, 20 calls a day, all your calls are scheduled. You're talking to, you're listening to Jim Rome, right? But you're not making money just yet, and you're still sharing knowledge. How long did it take you to get from where you were marketing, advertising, branding yourself, for you to actually start seeing, the fruits of your labor? How long would you say it took you?
Oh, to start making money in my business?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. When I first got started, it was rough.
That's where I'm going. Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't sign up my first client to like 6 months in the business.
Okay. All right.
But then again, so sometimes we don't see the fruits of our labor, or we don't see the benefits at a given time, and we just think to quit, or we just be like, oh, okay, people are not signing up, this don't work. I didn't necessarily look at it like that.
Yeah.
Simply because I'm seeing it work for a lot of other people.
Okay.
So now I had to evaluate myself, and I had to say, if I were me, would I sign up with me?
Yeah, I like that approach.
Like, what would make me different than this person?
Yep. I like that. Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, what is your knowledge about this particular topic? When somebody asks you a question, how can you answer it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, okay,
Yeah.
now I got to go back to the drum, and now I have to develop myself, because personally I wasn't at that level yet.
Right.
Because I'm looking at myself 3 years ago, and I was not the person I am today at all.
Yeah. Yeah. You're so self-aware. You're so self-conscious, man. Like and I mean self-conscious, like in a good way, like being conscious of yourself. Right. And you're so self-aware, right, that it's magnetic, right? It pulls people in, right? I think the other thing that I think about, and I see a lot, so you touch on some key points there. What sets you apart, right? If you were to buy the service from you, what is it that you would want from yourself, the service provider, right? The other thing that I'm that's in my world, what I do with coaching, we call that your unique value proposition. Being able to construct your unique value proposition. What makes you stand apart from your competition, right? What I've noticed a lot with people who start businesses, adults, I don't care who you are. When you start a business, it's going to be that 6 month, maybe a year sometimes. Jeff Bezos went 7 years before he was profitable, right?
Right.
So for you, 6 months wasn't so bad. It was probably still, a long time. And it was probably
within that time frame, I was
struggling.
stressed.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
So what I want to know though, right? Because you recently graduated with your master's in public health, right? What I tell people is record your achievements. And when you achieve and you accomplish in these small ways, celebrate those victories. So maybe you weren't performing, at your best when you're starting out the business because you're still learning the business, but you're doing really well in school, right? So now I'm wondering, you recently graduated. That's an achievement. How did you celebrate that achievement? Or did you not celebrate it at all?
No, I definitely celebrated it, but it was limited because of COVID. But it was wonderful, and we definitely made it work. And I have to give kudos to my significant other. She definitely made a lot happen for me. that day, and she made it very special, even though it was like more of an intimate setting. You know, it was my house. My family was there. My parents were there. My brother was there, and then like she surprised me and invited a lot of my friends,
Yeah.
my friends that I went to high school with, and a lot of my close friends that I didn't even know they were gonna show up. And
Okay.
she surprised me, and I just seen them come out, and you know, we were just hanging out in front of my house, and you know, just popping champagne and stuff like
Nice.
that. And
Nice.
also, what was unique was, you know, we were watching the graduation virtually, right? But they call out our names. It
Yeah.
was a list. So when they called my name, I just walked across the living room and acted like a stage.
Nice.
And
Yeah, no.
yeah, cap and gown and everything. I was
Yeah.
dressed up, and my queen, she made a plaque for me,
Yeah.
a plaque, you know, saying you know, the graduation and masters of public health. She
Wow.
made that for me, gave it to me.
Wow.
And you know, that was very special, and I, you know,
Yeah.
thank her a
Shout out
whole
to
lot for
her.
that.
Yeah. Shout out
Yeah,
to
so
her.
big shout out to her because, you know, people don't even think of stuff like that, and we know it's the little things like that that stand out most, you know,
Yeah.
and
And
that doesn't go unnoticed.
yeah, you got to have a strong support system around you if you're going to take on these kinds of things, right? If you're going to set
Right,
such high expectations for yourself and such high standards for yourself, and like you said in the beginning, you don't want the well to dry out. You're always pouring into people, but you got to spend time on your own personal development. It's good to have
absolutely.
somebody in your corner, right, who's going to support you along the way. So yeah, big
Right.
shout out to her, man. I'm curious about, you've got, like, I think there are two kinds of people out there, right? I do a whole 3-hour workshop on this, okay? And a lot of it is personal productivity. You've got intrinsically motivated people, people who just don't look for recognition, they don't look for reward, right? They just want to know that they feel good about themselves when they do something, when they help somebody, right? When they give back, right? Those are intrinsically motivated people. And then you've got people who are extrinsically motivated, right? They're motivated by that bonus check. They're motivated by that car, right? They're motivated by like external things, right? Now, you said you were
Right.
different today than you were 3 years ago, right? So,
Right.
I'm wondering, what kind of kid were you? Were you ever like a intrinsically motivated kid that, maybe you weren't looking for like recognition or rewards, or were you always somebody who was like looking for the external stuff, like the car, the toy? What kind of kid were you?
So in regards to that, I was more on the extrinsic side because that was, you know, that was what I would see, and that was what I used to be around a lot. And you know, just people, you know, pulling up in a nice foreign car,
Yeah.
and you know, women, the jewelry, and I was motivated by the wrong things. And you know, coming up, we were always inspired by either athletes or entertainers,
Right.
and this is the lifestyle that they show you.
Right.
So I was like, oh man, when I grow up, I want that car,
Yeah.
or I want to get a big house like that,
Yeah.
or I want the fly Gucci's and the Louis Vuitton
Yeah.
outfit and all of that stuff.
Right.
So subconsciously, we were inspired, and we were looking for those things. And you know, all of us when we grew up, we was like, I want to make it to the NBA,
Yeah.
or I want to be a rapper,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
and because we don't know, because at that time we didn't know any other successful black people that were something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? And me now, I'm seeing a whole lot of black millionaires and most earn from something else other than entertainment and sports,
Right. Right.
or
Yeah.
or the streets.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You know what's funny? It's funny that you say that, all right? Because I remember, so like I got into real estate for the S550. I always wanted the S550. That's a fly car, right? I always
Yes,
wanted one. I don't care
absolutely.
what year it was. It's an official
You
car.
just want to 50.
Yeah. So, I mean, as I'm listening to you talk, I'm looking back and I'm like, I always wanted that S550, right? And you can't buy it outright. It's like 60 grand,
Right.
right? So you're like 20 something years old thinking about buying a $60,000 car. You're like, where am I going to get that, right? So I always wanted that. I was working construction for a while, right? Like I was doing what you're doing or what you did, right? I wasn't building
Right.
a business. I was working security overnight, and then I was in school. I was studying for my bachelor's degree at that time, and I was doing construction in between classes and maybe some personal training, right? And then I had this
Right.
idea once I saw we were doing, 6-family houses, gutting them, renovating them, and whatever. Then the realtors would come in. The realtors come in, they're nice and clean, pristine, and they're driving these Benzes and BMWs, right? I said, I want
Right.
that. That's the external. So I was the same, that's how it is in the hood, right? Like you see a lot of cars and you're like, I want that.
But here's the thing, though, and this is what I realized.
Uh-huh.
Here's the thing that they don't tell you.
Yeah, talk to me.
Okay, I realized that a lot of times we do that and we get all these fly things, knowing that we can't afford it. And can't afford
Right.
anything just to impress people who don't really care about us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because these people will tell you, yeah, I got the BMW, I got the fly car, but you didn't tell me you were 3 months behind in your payments and your car's about to get repossessed.
Yeah.
Because you can't make those consistent payments. Or when that car breaks down, you don't even have the money to repair it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And your car is sitting in the shop all day.
Yeah. Yeah. I
You can't
learned that
afford
the
it.
hard way.
You
Yeah.
know, so a lot of people are going through these things, or like they get the nice house and they struggling on the mortgage.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and it's trying to get out right. So
Yeah.
it's based on that. I'm like, nah, man, this ain't it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of these people, yeah, they look cool to the outside world, the people that don't know, but internally they're suffering.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're 23, you're getting this information, you're processing this information, right? But you've got this
Right.
new information and you don't really know what to do with it just yet, right? So
Right.
walk me through that. Walk me through when you first started applying the information.
Man, just receiving that information, it was a scary feeling
Mm-hmm.
because that was like the first time in my life where I felt like I had the key. I had the key to get to that next level
Mm-hmm.
that I've always thought about. That was just a thought at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like, wow, like I'm around people who are really doing it and they're telling me how it's done.
Right.
So, you know, when I first got that feeling, it was scary.
Yeah.
Because I was never taught this before.
Right.
So
So what was scary about it is what I want to know. Like, were you thinking about going out and buying property and then like investing into real estate or taking on a huge amount of debt? What was the scary part about it for you?
the scary part was the people around me not understanding that vision.
Gotcha.
The people around me at that time were the people that I knew, because nobody I knew had this information.
Gotcha.
So now if I'm presenting it to them while I'm talking about it, it's going to be like, man, get out of here with that. What are you talking about?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. What do you know? Right.
Yeah, what are you doing? Like, so that was my whole thing about it. It's like, I just felt kind of alone in that situation.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
You know, so, yeah, but that really stuck with me. So I was like, okay, now let me just start educating myself more just about, you know, understanding, or just even listening to these people.
Right.
Listening to Robert Kiyosaki and people like that. Yeah. And then I came across Jay Morris, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is an interesting guy.
Right.
You know, and then when I heard his story, I'm just like, wow. Like,
dope boy turned real estate mogul.
Yeah, dope boy
Three-time
turned real estate. This was somebody that looked like me.
Right.
So now that was the first time I see somebody who was a millionaire in something else other than entertainment and sports.
Right. Right.
So now things started resonating with me differently.
Right.
You know, and then, you know, a couple months down the line, one of my great friends, a great friend of mine, one of my close friends, he came across a network marketing opportunity that involved credit repair.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, when he brought it to me, the guy who presented it to him was a multiple six-figure earner out of Chicago. And he was explaining to us how, you know, yeah, this can be done anywhere and you can help people, you know, fix their credit. Yeah. And it's only a couple $100 to join. Okay. At that time, I had money. like I had money from, you know, working different jobs and stuff like that. I always had a little bit of money saved up. So I was like, this is the opportunity. I don't know nothing about credit. I don't know how it works.
Right.
But let me just give this thing a try.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people have bad credit, and credit is something that we need. So when he presented it to me, I was like, man, I'm in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And from there, I just never looked back.
Were you going through a hard time with your credit, or were you just interested in helping people?
I was more so interested in helping people. And at that time, I had no credit.
Oh, okay.
And no credit is worse than having bad credit.
Right.
If you don't have a credit profile, you don't have anything that the lenders can see to be able to trust giving you a loan.
Right. Right.
So I was in a messed up predicament as well.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily need credit repair, but I still needed to build my credit.
Right.
So I was soaking in all the information given to me and all the tools that I had access to just educate myself more about credit.
Yeah.
But that took me a while, though, to start doing that, because in the beginning, I was just trying to help people fix their credit. I was like, hey, man, you know, I got a platform. We can help you fix credit.
Yeah.
But people at that time, people really didn't know me for that. People knew me for who I was, so it was hard for people to gravitate towards me.
Right.
And that's why I wasn't getting any success in the beginning.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a sensitive topic. People don't like talking about their credit.
Right.
It's so like, and it, you know, people, like you said, a lot of times within the culture too, right? Within our culture, it's like, you know, Haitian culture, first of all, it's like generational, either poverty or generational wealth, right?
Right.
That's Haitian culture. But then you have like in the Black community itself, like in the music and like, you know, in the culture, a lot of people are buying $300 pairs of Pradas or like, you know, the gold chains or like, you know, and it's like, but you know that they don't got it like that, right? So it's like they're not going to come talk to you about their credit because it becomes invasive. So I'm wondering, like, what were you saying to get yourself known, first of all, and then what were you saying to disarm people so that they feel okay with being vulnerable with you to say, okay, I need you to help me here.
So in the beginning, I'm not gonna lie, I was very nervous presenting that information because I didn't know much.
Okay.
And the whole thing that was resonating in my mind was like, what if this person asks me a certain question and I don't know what to say?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, so I had a few, I had that, and just my approach was wrong in the beginning because I would just literally just message, DM so many people to the point where I'm not able to send messages anymore, to the point where Facebook just blocked me.
Oh, wow.
And I would just message everybody and say, hey, you know, I'm fixing credit. If you're interested, just give me a call.
Right.
So many people left me on scene.
Wow. Okay.
Hundreds of people just left me on scene.
Huh.
You know? But I wasn't worried because that seed was still planted.
Yeah. So what are you saying now to people? Like, talk to me, because it seems like to hear you talk like that, first of all, is like, really? I can't tell based on your content. But I do know that in the beginning for anybody, it's going to take some time, right?
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you're able to share that side of it. But today, looking at your content today and looking at the success you're having today, what are you saying to people? Like, what's an icebreaker that makes people not feel guarded and makes them also want to talk to you about their credit? Is it the pandemic? Is it school loans? Is it like, who's your target demographic right now?
I mean, I don't have a specific target per se. I mean, I do have a lot of millennials that reach out as far as building their credit, and I do have a lot of like the elderly people.
Okay.
And people that wanna buy homes, because I do get a lot of referrals from different realtors and mortgage brokers and things like that.
Right.
So there's a variety of people that that I come across.
Right.
Need my help, and just based on like the content I put out and the results that I post on my page as well, from other people having improved their scores and getting approved for homes and getting cars and $50,000 lines of credit, things like that. When people see that, when people seeing the results and mixed with the content that I'm posting,
they're very comfortable reaching out to me and telling me their situation.
Yeah.
And a lot of times what I like to do, I like to set up a call for the most part. Unless it's like so many people reaching out to me at once, I just kind of like DM these people and just see what their problem is, see what's going on with their credit, and then just take it from there.
Yeah. Okay. So I think, you know, in selling real estate and in working with people as far as like credit repair, to get an FHA loan, it used to be a 580. It's gone up to like a 650. But 650 is still considered like pretty low. You know what I mean? Because you're still going to get hit with some high interest rates. So like, what are you saying to people, right, when they want to boost their credit score and they want to do it in minimal time? Like, walk me through that process. So that, and I think a lot of times what happens too is like, okay, you might get someone who wants to boost their score and it takes about 6 to 9 months, but somewhere in between, they're like, you know what, forget it. They start spending irresponsibly, right? And they just have these bad spending habits, right? So what are you saying to people and how do you stop them from dropping off?
Well, so I'm usually a realistic person.
Yeah.
Be realistic with people. And sometimes they come to me and they tell me that people tell them like, oh, I can help you get you to this score within 3 months, 2 months. This is absolutely false. They're misguiding people. And I usually tell people like, hey, like, I would recommend for you to at least stay with us for at least 6 months to see the best results.
Gotcha.
You know, and I just coach them on like different things they can do, because we know that only having negative items on your report, that's not the only thing that determines your score.
Okay.
So yeah, you could have delinquent accounts and everything like that, but that's just one factor.
Okay.
Right. So, you know, mortgage lenders want to see more than that. They want to see, okay, how you're able to balance out, you know, having different credit cards and keeping your utilization low, or, you know, having, I don't know, a student loan or a car loan and able to pay those things off.
Right.
You know, your DTI, which is debt to income ratio, things, different factors that they look at. So I just try to break it down to those people in that sense as well.
Right.
You know, keep your credit utilization low. Always have a balance.
Right.
By the statement, they don't pay it down to 0%. You want to keep at least anywhere under 10%. That's excellent.
Yeah.
1 to 10%. Because you want to show them that you're still utilizing it. Because if you have no credit utilization, you lost the that credit utilization factor, which is 30% of your score.
Right.
So you definitely.
Yeah, so it's something you got to work at, I feel like, right? Like every day you got to work at it, right? I think it's like the DTI, I like that you touched on that because a lot of people don't know. Can you just elaborate a little bit about that, like the debt to income ratio and why that's so important?
Okay. So debt to income ratio is so important because just look at it from a lender's perspective, right? If you have so much debt and you're not making that much money, they're gonna say, if we give you this mortgage, how are you going to be able to pay a mortgage every month if you have all these other debts, that you have or that you're currently paying?
Right.
Like lenders really look at that, especially if you have a high student loan amount.
Right.
So let's say you have an income of $80,000 a year, right? And you have a student loan payment, I don't know, if you like over $100 grand in debt, student loans, and your student loan payment is like $800, $900. They're gonna pay attention to that.
Right, right. And then the advice that you said that you received, right? You said you received some advice. You said, first of all, you said no credit is worse than bad credit.
Yes.
Right, and then you also said that you received some advice to pay everything off, right? And that's the advice you received growing up. So I guess a lot of people are getting that same advice, right? So what do you tell people when they come to you and they're like, well, I was told I should pay everything off, or I was told that, I've got no credit. So how do you advise them there? What do you say to them?
I'll be like, based on that, I was there too. I received that information as well. I was in that same position, but, that's not That's not the answer. I mean, I've seen, and then I just explained, like, I've came across these people who have these type of scores, and this is what they told me.
Mm-hmm.
And this worked for me. I'm following this, and this is working for me. And then I show them where my credit is.
Gotcha.
So it's like I'm not just preaching to you. I'm practicing what I preach as well.
Right.
And I'm showing you my results.
Right. So it can be done. You're the proof of concept. You are the proof of concept, right?
Right.
So I want to get into your mind a little bit, right? You said you got your master's degree in like public health. So,
right.
And it's like, what's crazy is you got your master's degree in public health during a time where everybody's scared of their health.
Right.
We're scared of COVID. Like we're scared and we want to make sure that we can increase our immune system. So I'm wondering, and is there a parallel between your public health and financial health? Like, are there some key principles in your health, generally speaking, that you can also apply to financial health? Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, okay, I look at it like this. I always abide by the concept of how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? And the key factor in there would be discipline.
Discipline,
right?
Yeah.
So I was the type of person before I was, on the basketball team. I used to work out every day, eat healthy, eat as healthy as I can. I'm not saying I'm a vegan or anything like that.
Right. Right.
I kind of used to control my diet, and I was very, fit and into fitness and things like that, and just taking care of myself in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're able to discipline yourself, I thought to myself, if I was able to discipline myself in that way, I can also discipline myself financially. So I took that approach with my physical health and applied it to my financial health, as far as like saving, budgeting my money properly, tracking down my expenses,
Mm-hmm.
getting into investing in the stock market, and putting money into life insurance policies, and things of that nature.
Yeah. So you see, like I think a lot of kids are not getting that message, and you can never get that message too early, like especially like the inner city, right? So it's really important to get that. I think the other thing, it's funny because I was a personal trainer for a while I was going to college, and then what I started realizing about training, right, was the consistency. You can take somebody to the gym and you can work out with them, but if they're not eating right, then it's like there's no point, right? So
I'm pretty sure you had clients that have been with you for a while and they didn't see results like that.
Yeah.
They didn't really, and then they try to say it's your fault.
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? Like, I can't hold your hand all day, right? I follow this guy on Instagram, NDO. You ever see this guy, NDO?
Nah, not too familiar, but I'll look him up when I get a chance.
Yeah, right. He's like this Liberian guy. He walks around. He's like jacked, right? And he walks around and he just kicks things out of people's hands that are eating. Yeah. So it's like you can't really tell. Now you again, I think so the parallel for me is when I looked at your content and I was saying to myself, it just so happens he's got his master's in public health, and then he's also, a financial consultant. What your spending habits is like your nutritional intake.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like if you're overspending and you're not budgeting and you're spending irresponsibly, it's just like eating irresponsibly, right?
Right.
You can go work out all you want, but if you're eating irresponsibly, it's like going against the grain.
It's defeating the purpose.
Yeah, it defeats the whole purpose, right? So now, the other thing I'm wondering too, when it comes to you and what you're doing, what can parents tell their children, right? What can parents tell their children when it comes to learning how to become financially literate and spending habits, developing good spending habits?
Okay. So I feel like before parents could get into really educating their children on it, they have to learn it themselves and apply it themselves as well. Yeah. Because a lot of kids don't really listen to what you say, they follow what you do.
Right.
So, you have to be that walking example as opposed to just telling your kid to do this, that, and the other. You have to be that prime example. But also, you can, as a parent, you could put things in place for your child.
Right.
So when they get older, they're well off. So, for an example, a lot of people, when they first have children, they just open up a bank account and just let their money, just put money in it and just save money for their children. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great and all.
Right.
However, there's another way.
Okay.
Because we know the banks, when you have a savings account, your interest rate is like 0.0001%. You're not making any real money from it.
Right.
And we understand inflation. Inflation is like as time progresses, the value of it gets lower and lower.
Right.
The value of the dollar. So we have to figure out, okay, what's another way? Now, another way would be to create what we call a custodial account for your child with a with a broker, right?
Okay.
So you'll create basically an investing account for your child, and basically you put your money in, and that money that you're investing is being invested in like index funds and mutual funds and things like that, and it grows gradually.
Right.
Over time. So now when your child's 18, they have a lot of money sitting there waiting for them.
Yeah.
And now within that time frame, they're also getting educated on the matters of finance and financial literacy. So now when they have access to that money, they already know what they need to do.
Right. So
that's one way.
Yeah. So, okay. Do you think that would help kids become more independent? Because a lot of kids are going back home or they're moving back in with their parents, right? And you start to see that a lot now. You see it a lot when it's like a crisis like this, right? So that you said that's just one way, right? How do they get started on that? Is there like an income requirement to get started on that? Like, how does that even work?
Oh no, there's no income requirement. You can just, look it up. You could just go to one of these banks and then just set it up.
Right.
Pretty much.
Okay.
And another thing I wanted to address is for parents, if you have good credit and you have children, add them to your account as an authorized user, but don't give them the physical card. So just have your child's name on there.
Yeah.
And just put that information and just have them as an authorized user. So now by the time they turn 18, they already have a lot of credit history.
Oh, okay.
And they have credit utilization. And they didn't even do anything. So now they have an established credit.
Right. Now, let's just say that the parent loses their job or for whatever reason they can't maintain their credit. Does that hinder the kid's credit?
Yes, absolutely. So if your credit is sinking, it depends, right? So when you add somebody as an authorized user to your account, it's only for one credit card.
Oh, okay.
It's usually on one account. So for each account is different.
Gotcha.
So if that specific account is being affected, then yes, your child's credit will be affected as well.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's like your kid is your accountability partner. It's kind of like your kid is your accountability partner.
Right.
You don't want to
exactly, because in your mind, if I screw this account up, they're gonna be screwed as well.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I never heard of that. That's good, man. See, that's good. That's education right there.
Right.
Yeah. So, okay. Is this something that you're afraid of being replaced, like maybe 3-5 years from now? Do you think a robot can take this from you? Like, can take this job from you? Like this credit repair? Do you think it can go automated? That it can get automated?
No, I don't think so.
No?
I don't see it being automated. I mean, I don't know. Technology is crazy, right?
Yeah.
Within the years, the emergence of technology is just crazy, right?
Yeah.
Because 20 years ago, who was to say that we'll be in a time like this? Like the iPhone and how we interact like this, and they have group FaceTime calls, and so every time it's emerging.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's gonna be just a robotic service.
Right. Now
also being commissioned, and at the same time, even if that was to happen, you still need people to give you that information verbally and provide that value. So I don't think, as far as that, I don't think that's going to go anywhere, because that relationship I'm going to have with the people is still going to be there.
Gotcha.
People are going to feel more comfortable asking me questions and, you know, getting certain types of information from me. So,
yeah. Okay. You see, so what do you think is, all right, if you're going to go and you're going to do this thing, you're going to help people repair their credit, and you got right now COVID, people are losing their jobs, people are, you know, refining their homes, and whatever it is, they might get their cars about to get repossessed, right? What are some things people could do right now, as of today, to avoid a drop in their credit score?
Avoid a drop in their credit score?
Yeah.
I would say manage the money that you do have.
Yeah.
Create a budget. You know, a lot of times, many of us suffer because we live above our means.
Yep.
And, you know, we got to be realistic with ourselves and say, okay, how do I prioritize my money?
Yeah.
You know, because, for example, like I still have people come to me like, hey, you know, this happened. I lost my job and whatever the case may be. I understand. But at the same time, I just saw you walk out the Louis store. Or
right.
I just saw you, you know, get a bunch of Casamigos and Don Julio bottles and stuff like that, having to kick back with your friends. So,
yeah,
you know, it's not about, for me, I feel like, and people may look at me wrong for this, but I don't think people don't have the money. I just feel like they don't prioritize their money correctly.
Right. They don't know how to use it.
They don't know how to use it, or it's just not that important to them at the time.
Right. Yeah.
I
think it is. Yeah, I think you're right.
Listen, if I tell you, let me give a scenario. If I say, hey, I have this Lamborghini for sale.
Yeah.
For $300, right?
Yeah.
You come with $300. This Lamborghini is yours.
Yeah.
The trick is, you got to have this $300 by the end of the day. What would that person do?
They'll go find $300. They'll probably go rob somebody or something. Yeah.
They'll go find the money, or
yeah.
they'll just pay you the money right then and there.
Yeah. You want to laugh? I'll tell you something that's funny, right? Remember I told you I wanted that S550?
Right.
And I found out how much it costs, like 60 grand, right?
Right.
When I finally got my hands on 60 grand, I thought about it. And I said, there's no way in hell. There is no way in hell that I'm going to give up 60 grand for a car.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like, you thought about it.
I did think about it.
You thought about it. You said, yo, I got the 60. I can just go get this S550 right now.
You know how many other things you can get with that, right?
Right.
That's like multiple down payments for multiple homes.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Like, but that 300, I'm like, but this is the type of stuff that we deal with, you know.
That's what we're dealing with. So,
you know, like, people say I don't have it, but I'm like, bro, I know that's not really the case. It's just not that important to you.
It's not that important. Yeah. So you know, I hope we could spread your message out more. You know what I mean? So that more people can get it, especially around your age group, because look, I think it's when you hit like anywhere between 25 and like 45. Right there is make it or break it, because you could work a job 30 years and retire to nothing.
Right.
So it's like you got to figure it out during that period, you know, before you hit like retirement age in your 50s and 60s. Figure it out within that 20-year span, you know. So yeah, let's play a quick game while I got you, right?
Sure.
See where you're at. It's called Hands Down the Lightning Round. Okay. I'm going to ask you 3 topics. I'm going to ask you 3 questions, 3 topics. You tell me your bottom line about these topics, right? And if you don't like the topic, just say pass. I'll move on to the next one.
Okay.
All right. First one, you maybe just made, I want to say, you're worth about $9 billion. Maybe you know, financially Fred, you sold the organization, you sold it, and you get about $9 billion. Are you buying a car? Are you buying an island? Or are you reinvesting?
$9 billion?
$9 billion. You got a big fat check, $9 billion.
I might even get an island. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, you go quarantine on an island?
Quarantine on an island, man. Because now with my own island, I can set my own rules, my own philosophies, and have it set a certain way. Or I can, you know, build a bunch of homes and build a whole curriculum and community where I could have my peoples go.
Yeah, have your own
You
country.
know, have my own structure, have everything set up in a certain way. So, yeah.
Okay, he's gonna be on his island. What's the name of your island? Fredland?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably Essential Bosses or something like that.
Yeah. You know what made me think of that? What made me think of that was when you said you listened to Jim Rohn, and Jim Rohn's Tony Robbins' mentor. And when Tony Robbins was like 19, he bought an island for like $10 million. Not 19, I think 29. I think
Tony Robbins?
Yeah, he bought his first island with like 10 million.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Crazy, right? Okay, second topic. You have a chance to save a young kid that's driving at like 67, I don't know, maybe 200 miles, right? He's driving at 200 miles an hour, and you got a chance to save an old lady, right? And the old lady is standing in the middle of the road, okay? You have now, which one would you save?
That's tough.
It's a tough one.
And I have to choose one, right?
You got to choose one.
I'll say the young kid.
Tell me why. That's deep.
Because the young kid has so many years ahead of him, and we don't know that kid's potential, what he could grow up to be. Or how that particular kid may have a certain impact on the world, as opposed to the old lady. With respect, but her time is nearly approaching.
Right. Huh. That's deep. Yeah.
Because that's the same thing. That's the same thing like saying, like a mother or like an elderly would die for their child or for their baby. Something like that, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of a similar scenario.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, because there's so much more future in the kid, right?
Right.
Yeah. I hear you. So like when somebody asked me that question, and I said the same thing you said. I said I would save the kid, but I would want to know why the kid is driving so fast.
Right.
Because it's like if I could figure out why that kid is driving so fast, I could save both of them.
Right. But you said one.
You got to pick one. I know.
You said you got to pick one.
Yeah, exactly. So I went with the kid like you did. Yeah.
Right.
All right. And the last question, the last scenario. Okay. So because of COVID, right, and especially Cuomo going crazy, locking everything down, right? Do you think that we should work together to try to be, more conscious of how to reduce and flatten the curve, right? Or as a community or as a zip code, because he's restricting zip codes at a time, or is it individual responsibility?
I would say it's a bit of both.
A bit of both. Okay.
Because at the end of the day, I feel like only we can save us. You can save yourself. There's a lot of things that we do have control over.
Right.
Like if Cuomo makes whatever law or whatever rule he wants to, we can't control that.
Yeah.
Because it's a decision he makes and he is at a certain position. However, when he passes that law or whenever he makes that rule, we have the ability to adjust.
Right.
We have the ability to make the best of it, right? So now that tells us, like, okay, this may affect certain things, but this doesn't affect me from picking up more knowledge. This doesn't affect me from going on the computer and searching different things or learning a skill that's going to enhance my ability to be more financially stable or to help somebody else.
Right.
You know, the power of social media.
Yeah. So it sounds like you could, for me, it's like it's individual responsibility, right? Because it's like you said, you have the ability to like do something for yourself, right?
Right.
Save yourself pretty much, right? So, you know, right now, what do you think is what do you think is one thing that we could all do right now, right? Just like right now, that's part of flattening the curve and not being so reliant on what Cuomo is saying or what the government is saying for ourselves. Is it building the business? Is it going to go find a job for some, with the company? Like, what is it?
I would say this taught us, and I'm not going to say I'm glad that the pandemic happened because so many people lost their lives, and I'm not going to say that.
Yeah.
However, what I am going to say is the pandemic taught us a lot.
Yeah.
And what it taught us that you cannot rely on somebody else employing you or hiring you. You cannot rely on just having a job.
Yeah.
You need another stream, or you need another plan as well.
Yeah.
Because with that happening, so many people lost their jobs. It was like 4 million people or something like that were unemployed.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
So a lot of things got shut down. So in a lot of work from home businesses started emerging and just gradually increased. A lot of people started their own business, and a lot of people started doing different things like that.
Yeah.
For me, I would say, enhance your skill, something you're good at, make a business out of it and get paid for it. Because a lot of people that work, just let their talents just sit down and not really do anything with it. There's so many of us that have great talents, like know how to do hair, know how to make wigs, I don't know how to, sew, know how to make clothes.
Right. Yeah.
Use a bunch of different things. Yeah.
Use it.
I say really utilize that.
Yeah.
Or if you don't have anything, I'll say, I'm big on network marketing and highly recommend it.
Yeah.
As opposed to somebody starting a small traditional business.
Yeah.
And don't really have that real passion for it.
Yeah.
I'll say, like, man, get into network marketing.
Yeah, network marketing.
Network marketing is literally personal development with a compensation plan attached to it. That's how I look at it.
Huh.
Because, you get benefits like a job because of the products and the different things that each company is different, but they offer different products and services that's very helpful. The cost is very low.
Yeah, to get
it costs like a pair of Jordans. So for the cost of a pair of Jordans, you can start your own independent at-home business that you could work from anywhere.
Yep, this is the future talking right here. This is the future. Yeah.
You have mentors that are accessible to you, 6-figure, 7-figure earning mentors that you have access to on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And you're in a business that you're in for yourself, but you're never by yourself.
Love it. Yeah.
So and you're helping people.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of both. It's a little personal development, and you're learning, and it's entrepreneurial at the same time. Yeah.
Right.
That's how I landed in coaching. That's exactly how I landed in coaching.
Right. So
I run into so many MLM people. It's like crazy. You know what I mean?
It's amazing, man, and I love it. Like, it's just the best. It was the best decision I made in my life.
Yeah.
And just the people you connected with, you networking with from all over the country, and man, those events.
Love the events.
I love those events.
Yeah.
It gets you so inspired, so motivated when you see people walk across that stage and they tell you their story, where they came from to get to where they are. Right. And mind you, people don't know this. Network marketing is the highest paid industry.
Yeah.
It's the highest paid industry. Network marketing produces the most millionaires aside from real estate.
Yeah. Sales. Because it's all sales driven. It's all sales driven.
Right. But
Right.
it's the difference between that and sales. Because in a traditional sales industry, you have to work your tail off at least 70, 80 hours a week.
Right.
I know people that were making great money from sales, but they never had the time.
Right.
And network marketing, you can have both, because now you built a team of people that's working together collectively. So now you're working smarter, not harder.
Yeah, you get the overrides. You get to build
the overrides.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. The hardest part, I think, too, about network marketing, and that because it's so big, there's so many skeptics and cynics out there. So the team building part is the hardest part, because people want to see your success before they try to latch on to you. You know what I mean?
It depends.
Yeah.
I say it depends because, and it's all about posture, right?
Yeah.
And your confidence in your confidence in your belief in what you're promoting to somebody. People could tell.
Yeah.
People could tell when you don't really believe in something, or if you're not really having that kind of success.
Yep.
And sometimes even if you're not at that level yet, you have to maneuver like it.
Yeah.
Like they say, it's not about getting to that 6-figure level in the company or 7-figure level. It's about becoming that person you need to be to be able to sustain that.
Yeah, I do a whole workshop about that where people can't see themselves at that level yet, so that's why their progress suffers, because they don't have that self-image. They don't believe in it themselves. But once they start believing in it themselves, all of a sudden their productivity increases, their performance increases.
Absolutely,
right?
Because when you present it, your posture is there, you're confident, you're clear on what you're saying, and now people are gravitating towards you, as opposed to when you're unsure. People can hear that. It's funny, like I'm in it, and sometimes people approach me with the business and trying to get into their network marketing company. I'm just like, okay, I know you're a beginner, or I know you're at a low level in the company. I can tell.
Yeah, because you've been doing it for so long, you can read through it.
I've been doing it, so I know.
Yeah.
I know the pitch. I know everything. So
yeah,
I'm not saying I know everything, but in regards,
you know enough. You know enough.
I know enough to know,
Nice. Yeah. I'm listening to you talk, man. What makes you tick? Like, what's your thing? You wake up in the morning, and it's like, you might have an off day. It might be a Wednesday or something, right?
Right.
Go back to this thing, your bottom line, right? Your reoccurring truth, right? That thing that feels like serves as rocket fuel for you, right?
Right.
What is that for you?
I have a mission. And my mission and my vision is to be that difference maker first in my family, and show them that I'm going to be a successful entrepreneur, because nobody in my family has done that. Everybody, to them, success is getting a degree and having a job in the field that you went to school for. That's their definition of success. And I want to be that difference maker and have, lead a different path. So now my younger cousins, my nephews, and people like that can see that as another way.
Yeah. You're on
and then from there transition into people that look like us.
Yeah, you're on a
mission. But first, starting with my family. I mean, for the audience out there, I do get discouraged at times as well.
Yeah.
We all do.
We all do.
It happens. Yeah, there's times I get discouraged, or there's days when I wake up and I don't feel like doing it. I just want to chill and I just want to just relax. And, I have those days. It's normal. I thought it wasn't normal until I spoke to my mentors. I said, listen, man, y'all not telling me I always like this.
Yeah, it's impossible. Yeah.
You're not telling me that.
Right.
And then they kept it real with me. They was like, listen, man, we go through it too. We get discouraged, but that's the importance of plugging in. That's the importance of, constantly getting that personal development. If you're constantly reading books and listening to these people speak and hearing people's stories, that reinforcement is gonna be right there.
Yeah, it's just it's a shift in your thinking. Once you start making that shift in your thinking and you start becoming more open to adapting to a new way of thinking, a new mindset, And I like to tell people, you know, people are thinking, but they're not thinking intentionally, right?
Right.
It's when you start thinking intentionally, you start to see what opportunities might be possible, right?
Right.
And in the same way, you're going to get discouraged. In the same way, I like what you said. You said, I'm on a mission, right? Because that's what it is. It's ongoing. There's no end in mind. There's no real.
Yeah, the journey is always going. It's ongoing. There's no ending to it.
Yeah. So with that, you know, you're gonna go as far as you see yourself going. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I like that you said that, man. Where do people find you? Where do people find you? How do they get in contact with you?
Oh, so to get in contact with me, you can follow me on Instagram at financially_Fred. And you can also add me on Facebook at Fred Cadet. Those are the two social media platforms you can add me to.
Yep.
Definitely reach out, follow me, message me, stay in tune with my content. I put out videos once a week, giving us free game. And it definitely is a page to look for inspiration, to be inspired, and to know that you can do it if you don't give up.
Yeah.
And for the record, I'm still on a mission. I'm still grinding. I'm not what I want to be as of yet, but I'm still moving forward. I'm still growing and developing every day. So for those people that are looking up to me, I'm on the same journey as you on as well.
Yeah.
I'm no different than you.
Yeah, it's ongoing. Fred, man, I mean, we can talk all day. And in the future, I'd like to do another one with you where we get more in depth about, you know, different revenue streams and how, you know, credit can be used to build a business, right? Yeah, at some point. I definitely appreciate you taking the time, man. And look, like I said, I'm learning from your content that you're putting out as far as like credit repair. And listen, your vibes are positive. You're always sharing a lot of like practical. I think your stuff is practical too. Action steps you can actually take, right? You're not selling a dream. You're selling reality.
Exactly.
You're selling the real deal, right? So this is Fred Cadet. This was the Bottom Line Podcast, where we say what we mean and we mean what we say. Because at the core of everything that is, was, and forever will be, there will always be the bottom line.